Sam Rocket held his breath as he made his way down the cold, muddy ditch that ran alongside the old deserted highway that connected the city of Chaz that he was running from to the city of Copen that he was running to. Sam was 40 years old, single, and in very good shape. He had pale blonde hair that was lightly layered and almost reached his shoulders, and electric blue eyes. Had this been another time, Sam would have had his pick and his fill of women, but after World War IV ravaged the Earth in 3022, nothing that was possible before was possible now. I swear there is sewage in this ditch, and that they do it purposely. Sam cursed to himself as he shivered from the cold mud and the chill in the night air. He looked up at the full moon and then looked around. It was just after midnight. The night was unusually cold for the month of October in the Southern California desert area. A slight fog crept along the roadway. The city lights illuminated the highway and the field to Sam's right. Sam looked at the field carefully. He wanted to make sure that he was not being followed by anyone. He had about 1.5 miles left to go before he would reach the southern edge of Chaz. If I can just make it to Copen without being seen, I can try to find Howell, Sam thought to himself. He will know what to do. Just as Sam started to feel a sense of relief, he heard the sound of loud tires and an even louder engine coming down the highway from behind him. He quickly ducked down into the ditch and looked over his shoulder. His mind wanted to believe that it would be a human driving the approaching van and that he would be rescued. But as the large, gray van came closer, Sam realized that it was one of the enforcers behind the wheel. Sam knew that he had no chance of escape. He, like many other humans, had been forced to have implants surgically placed under his skin at the back of his neck, just below his skull, which would alert any enforcer of his presence. Sam had met a few people who had their microchips removed painfully and illegally, but Sam had never had the guts to do that himself. Sam touched the back of his neck. It was warm. "They know I'm here," Sam whispered as he slowly stood up, faced the road, and held his hands high in the air. The enforcer that was behind the wheel, but not controlling the van, turned and looked straight at Sam for a moment, and then turned his head back towards the road while the self-driving van kept driving. For a moment, Sam felt confused and wondered if the van had an internal error, until he noticed the faces looking out at him from the van's side windows. There were 5 dark-haired men staring blankly and hopelessly at him. Sam caught a glimpse of 5 more men on the other side of the van. "The van's full," Sam whispered as he lowered his arms to his sides. "I wish I could help them." Sam stood still for a moment and then realized that he was making a big mistake standing there. "That enforcer is sure to call me in and give them my location." Sam looked at the field and then at the highway. He knew that he couldn't run through the slippery mud in the ditch fast enough to get far enough away from where the enforcer saw him. Sam looked at the field. There may be mines left, and there are surely many holes in the ground, Sam sighed. His only other choices were to run down the highway and be an easy target, or run across the highway and back into the city and try to make it down the city streets. Sam rubbed the back of his neck. His neck was getting warm again. "They're near," Sam said in a panic. Without thinking, Sam ran across the highway and into the city. His heart was racing as he reached the first building. He leaned against it near the corner and tried to catch his breath. He put his hand to the back of his neck. He was confused. He expected his neck to be warm, but it was cold. Sam breathed a sigh of relief and slowly walked to the street corner and peered around the building. A pair of brown eyes looked back at him. Sam jumped back 2 feet as he looked at the woman staring at him in just as much shock as he was in. The woman was dressed in army green pants and a long-sleeved army green shirt. Her hair was dark brown and hung just below her shoulders. She held her finger up to her mouth and then looked to her right. Sam's eyes followed her gaze. His heart almost stopped. There was a tall, large enforcer standing on the street corner across the street from them. His armor was steel blue and smooth. His eyes were turquoise. He looked over at Sam and started towards him. "Halt!" the woman shouted as she held her right hand up and grabbed Sam's right arm with her left hand. "This man is my prisoner. Do not interfere." Sam swallowed hard as he looked at the woman. She had a laser weapon on her belt and a harsh look on her face. The enforcer took one more step forward and stopped. He looked at Sam and then at the woman. He gave her a nod and then went back to his post on the opposite corner from them. He folded his arms and watched the woman for a moment and then looked away. The woman looked at Sam and gave him a stern look. "Come with me," she said as she led him to the entrance of the building. "Don't say a word," she whispered as she opened the door with a swipe of her right hand. Sam felt chills up the back of his neck. He quickly turned and looked over at the enforcer. He was watching them intently. Sam quickly looked away and followed the woman into the building.